My greatest challenge during the labor and delivery residency still is, and it was very, very heavy for me in the orientation phase, was I don't belong here. Hi, my name is Jaleesa. I am a registered nurse in Austin, Texas, and currently in my first year of residency as a labor and delivery nurse. I think that this idea of me feeling this way, it was definitely enhanced when I got into the residency, but it started in my childhood. I started questioning my persona at a very, very early age and didn't realize I was doing that. And this mainly came from years of hearing different people say certain things about how why do you speak like a white girl, or why do you talk so proper? And I didn't really understand. I was questioning my own identity, like, was I not supposed to be speaking a certain way because I'm black? And was I supposed to sound ignorant, slang, ruthless? I didn't understand why the way that I articulated my words. I struggled to fit in. Like, I was either the black girl that talked too white, didn't really have too many, real black friends that wanted to hang out with me. Well aware that Jaleesa spoke like a white girl, or Jaleesa's the white girl, the black body. So, yeah, always struggle with, I would say, fitting in or belonging somewhere without actually saying that I'm struggling. It was an internal struggle. It wasn't till college when I actually had an open mind and a better perspective. That's when things start really making sense to me, that it wasn't me. And it was in college when this guy came to me, black guy of course, and he said, "You sound like a white girl, you speak like a white girl." And it was in that moment when my perspective changed, and I realized I wasn't the problem, but society's mindset to black women or black people, period, was a problem. So this was my response to him, and I did challenge him. And I said to him, I didn't know that because I was black, I had to speak a certain way. I didn't know that race had a language. Because I'm black and because you're black, are we supposed to sound ignorant? Are we supposed to sound hood? Are we supposed to sound like we don't have any education? Because that's actually belittling our own race. What does a black person sound like? And he just stood there, and he kind of didn't have much to say, but he still said, "You still sound like a white girl." And all I could say was basically that it's sad that we have the mindset that black people can't sound educated, because it's basically what it is. I went to school just like you did, and here we are, right here. Only thing is that I'm articulating my words a little bit better. I'm articulating my words to the point where it sounds like another race, because we're used to hearing that type of race sound smart compared to us. Is that what it is? And so the conversation took place, and he did open his mind to the idea that there is a stigmatism of how black people should be and how we should sound. And so that was where a glimpse of hope of me not feeling like I did not belong, but I am who I am. When it came to college, of course, I even had issues there with feeling like I didn't belong. It was probably 3 of us African American women. Well, I was the probably 2 African American women in college that I can remember, and then of course there was 4 of us minorities all together. When I got into my residency, when I got accepted for the position, it just got bad. My imposter syndrome probably went from 60% to 100% that first day. Probably even before I started orientation, because when I got the news that I got accepted for the position, I went and did my peer orientation, and I saw no one like me there. And I went to the peer interview, and during that time, my manager was supposed to meet up with me, and last minute she wasn't able to meet up. Let me back up a little bit, because it started off with, during the summer, I overly prepared myself last year. Like, I wasted no time. I had a plan, I typed it out, I wrote everything that I was going to do, get my resume together, all of that. I did all that during summer before my last semester of nursing school, because I wanted to be prepared, overly prepared, because as a Black person, you feel like you have to be 2 steps ahead, no matter what. And I did. I got help with my resume and putting all my stuff together. Cover letter. I asked all of my professors and some of my friends that I've worked with, actually some bosses that I've worked under, for some letter of recommendations. I had all that done that summer, so when it came time for me to present myself, I was ready. Every year, all the colleges tell their new grads that they have an opportunity to join or go to a happy hour that all the hospitals do every year, usually around October or November. And these new grads, they go there, and we have our resumes prepared. Underline frustration and condition of imposter syndrome that's just riding with you the whole time. And when you finally get to the opportunity to present yourself, you start hitting these things that just confirms everything that you already feel. Like, when I got to the happy hour, I'm in this long line of where you are standing there for an hour just to have a 3-minute conversation with the managers at that hospital that you want to get hired on. I literally went to 4 of them. Went to 4 different managers at the happy hour, and I was in line for hours. I only went to the L&D and desperate times called for desperate measures. I even stepped into the postpartum area, even though I knew that's not what I wanted, but I wanted my foot in the maternity unit. That's a whole other story. I guess that can be another video about how I got into it. But the manager never looked at me. She never looked at me when I was talking about why I want to be part of the labor delivery unit, and what I can bring, and my history and all that stuff. I never got an eye contact from her, so I didn't get good vibes, and I felt already discouraged and not, I didn't feel like I was heard. Or as persistent as I am, I continued. At the end of the day, I did walk away discouraged, but a little motivated. I ended up getting the position. That's a whole other video of how I got into labor and delivery. But I cried when I found out that I was the only Black nurse on the unit. So my instructor, who helped me get the job, I asked her, because she worked there, and I said, hey, am I the only black person? Will I be the only black nurse on that unit? And she looked at me, she said, yeah, you will be. And so in my mind, before I knew that I got hired, I already thought to myself, I'm not getting that job. I'm not getting the job, because when I was sitting there getting my peer interview, no one on that unit looked like me. No one. So in my mindset, I was just thinking they're just passing time, just checking off their boxes, say that I came here, especially because the manager that was supposed to do my interview ended up not being present. She left literally 5 minutes before my interview time, and I just felt so defeated. That's a whole nother story. And started the job. When I started the orientation, it just got big to the point where I got depressed. I am in my dream career, yet I am frustrated, and I am facing the biggest struggle and biggest battle every day. I walk in that unit with a smile on my face, and I look around and I feel like I don't belong here. It is the most frustrating feeling you can ever have. You work hard, you do all the good things, but you still feel like you don't belong here. And it's hard because like you around all these people that can relate with each other, but you stick out like a sore thumb, and there's no one that you can actually relate to. And I'm speaking on the aspect of I don't see no one who looks like me. That was really hard for me because most cultures, it's very obvious that the majority of people in labor and delivery are usually Caucasian. Not too many Hispanic, and I can't really relate to their type of lifestyle, things that they do. It's kind of hard to open up, but I try to find a commonality, a common ground with them, maybe some things, interests that they found, that they like, and that's where I told myself I'm going to not allow myself to suffer under it, but I'm going to overcome it by breaking the barrier. To overcome it is to not look at it as if you're just different, but you are being a difference. And that's the statement that I say for myself. I look at myself and I say, you're not just different, you're being a difference. Be a difference, not just different. And I had to tell myself that. And I will walk in the living room and look in the mirror and say, you're doing great. Because I knew that this is all that I've always wanted, was to be here. But every time I walk through those hospital doors, I know what I'm going to face, and that is an area that I'm not used to, an area that I am new to, and that's okay. I will accept that you have to learn how to be uncomfortable when growth takes place. And the idea of being an imposter in a place that I've always desired to be at will soon have to dissolve. And that's dissolving by acknowledging that it's about time that I got here. And it's about time that a difference has shown up. And it's about time I become the new norm for everyone else. And it may seem odd for a little bit, but learn how to get and be uncomfortable. Learning how to embrace new spaces and new challenges. And that's the only way that you grow and you become the person that you were created to be. Yeah, I would tell myself that, especially not knowing that I was going to feel so depressed when I got into my dream career, that you're going to start feeling as if you're lost. But you're not lost. You're just in a new space where you're not used to. And you're going to feel like you don't belong, but you belong there. It's just, you just need to open your eyes and realize that you are the new norm. The odd was that you were not there. It's all about perspective. When I got accepted to the position after my peer review, the St. David's Hospital in Houston contacted me 3 days later and inquired on me on coming in for an interview. And I was so confused because I was like, wait, I'm already hired on at a St. David's. Where are you calling from? And she said Houston. And so it just confirmed everything that I was mentally placing in myself with the imposter syndrome, that no, it's not that you don't belong. You worked hard. They find you to be exceptional. And she said that she looked at my resume and saw my work experience, and she wanted me to be there. And my biggest question was, I thought that Houston did not accept ADN nurses, only bachelors. And she said, based off of your resume and looking at your experiences, we called you because we were impressed by your resume, and at this time we are accepting ADN nurses. I was mind blown because I had to accept that I'm a hard worker, I am a smart person, I'm an educated person, and where I desire to go and where I desire to be, I put the work in it, and I am well deserved to be there just as anyone else. It wasn't just by luck. It wasn't just by the luck of the draw. I worked hard. My resume, which as we would say is my receipt to prove it. And it's just amazing through prayer and persevering how that door that opened for me remains open, because her last words were, well, when you're ready to come this way, give me a call back. We will have a position for you. I was speechless.